Hey everybody, it's Jackie from Jack Gets Lost Down a Book Hole. So I thought I would make a video, since it's been a long time since I made one. I believe the last time I had made one was a week or so ago, where it was around the time I got back from SuperCon, and I was really excited about it. I was expressing how happy I was and how I had such a good time there, and that was fun, and, unfortunately, I filmed this once, and it turned out to be really long, too long, I guess, for posting, and so I'm redoing it. I am doing the Cliche Book Tag. So let me get started on it before I get sidetracked and start talking about random crap. Okay, so number one, the first cliche is actions speak louder than words. A movie that is better than the book. Okay, well, I did not have one for this last time, but I gave you a couple that I mentioned, some that I thought were potentially better. I like how the Hobbit movies, they've added a lot of stuff that wasn't in the original book, that was only in the appendices that Tolkien wrote. I like that. I know a lot of Tolkien fans, and I think Tolkien's grandson did not like the Hobbit movies. They thought Peter Jackson ruined it because the original story was meant for children. And in the case of his grandson or whatever, that is understandable because it's his relative's material. So, of course, he's going to be protective of it. But I liked all the new stuff they added. But, a lot of the movies that I think are better than the books are quite a few of the classics. Like, I did not like, okay, I forgot. Let me close this. Okay. Okay, that's the best I can do, without having to get up. Because I'm lazy and I don't want this video to be too long. But, yeah, like, I didn't like Les Mis, the book. I thought it was boring and not as exciting. I prefer the musical version of that one. Or, like, whether it's the musical movie or the stage musical, I prefer that. I couldn't get through the book version of Little Women. It was boring, and the characters were just annoying. The four girls were annoying. Like, they had that sugary, sweet personality, like the perfect girls of that time period that were maybe a little bit rebellious. Like, Jo was the rebellious one still in the book, but I liked the 1999, or not 1999, but 1994, I think is when it came out. That movie with Winona Ryder. I liked that movie. And I was disappointed with the book, and I couldn't finish it. I got like halfway through, and I took a break, and then when I decided to come back to it, I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't read this book. I mean, no offense to Louisa May Alcott. I mean, she's a great writer and everything, but I couldn't get into it. So, I prefer watching that movie over reading the book. I mean, sometimes when I watch the movie, I feel guilty that I never read the rest of the book, but, okay, so those are really, alright. Cliche number 2, the grass is always greener. Rags to Riches books. Okay, so I said the Ascendance trilogy by Jennifer Nielsen is basically a book, about, like, the royal family has just been assassinated, but there's one more prince that is out there, although the people believe he's dead. So this one lord decides to track down, like, some orphan boys that look similar to the lost prince, Prince Jaren, that's his name, that looks similar to him and could possibly pretend to be the prince. And this lord would, he would be the puppet master. He would control the boy that they put on the throne. So he finds 4 boys, but one of the boys can't do it anymore, and they let him go, but then they kill him because they can't let him, because if he exposed their secret, their plan, then, well, that's treason. Their plan is treasonous. So the main character of the story is Sage. I believe it's in the first person, if I remember correctly. And Sage knows that if he takes the place of the prince, if he ends up winning and becoming the prince and replacing, and eliminating the competition, then to him that's another sort of imprisonment. It's like he'll be told what to do. He'll have the responsibility and the weight of the kingdom on his shoulders, having to pass laws and come up with laws, and not everybody's gonna like what he does, and they'll try to kill him, and enemies will come, and the wars will start, and people tell him what to wear and how to, and like he'll have guards with him all the time, and he won't be able to have the room to breathe. And so at first he doesn't like the idea, but then eventually he changes his mind because he realizes it's better than being on the streets, which is how the other two boys, Tobias and Roden, feel. They're like, I would rather, it's totally awesome. We get to be the prince and then eventually the king. We get to be the ruler of this country, and we get to wear nice clothes and get good food and stuff. So like Sage teams up with one of the boys teams up with Roden because Tobias seems like a little bit of a brown noser, but he also seems very weak. So they're like, oh, we can get rid of him easily, and then once we get rid of him, we'll compete against each other. So it's a very, I'm not going to tell you about the other two books, but the first book it's fun. It's a good read, it's middle grade level. I'm not a huge fan of middle grade level because the writing style, sometimes I can't get into it, but I've read a few middle grade level books, especially recently, that I really enjoyed. And I actually bought one from SuperCon. I believe it's middle grade level. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was very fun, and I like the character of Sage and his snarkiness and her sarcasticness, and it was a very good read, and I definitely would recommend it as a good rags to riches story. And lots of political intrigue, but in a simple way, done in a simple, less complicated way. Okay, cliche number 3. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Favorite book family. Okay, I would say the Weasleys, but everybody's going to say the Weasleys. And there is kind of an unspoken rule that try to avoid mentioning Harry Potter in these things. So I try to, but sometimes you can't help it. But in this case, I did not. I decided to go with a family that's not a family by blood or biologically. Well, except for 2 of them actually are biological, they're blood, but that is Rhysand's Inner Circle in A Court of Mist and Fury, the second book in A Court of Thorns and Roses. They are awesome. I love all 4 of them. They are all cool, very unique, and you just love them. I mean, how could you not? I mean, you have to read that series to understand this, I feel like. But, they are such an awesome bunch of people, and, you just want to give them a hug, and you want to hang out with them. And you wish they were real. I mean, they are, so awesome and badass. They are and they're loyal to each other, and they care a lot about each other. So that I would love, and I mean, the Night Court is just awesome in general. Who wouldn't want to be part of the Night Court? I mean, it's funny because I love the season of spring, but because of but I am kind of more of a fan of the Night Court than the Spring Court. So okay, so number 4, don't judge a book by its cover. A book with a bad cover. Okay, well, I did not have an answer for this one because I do agree certain covers are very cliche and silly, and I don't like the movie tie-in covers because it's like, okay, that's for the movie poster. They already did that. You don't need to, I know it's a marketing tool and everything, but it's just, but it's just you don't have to put the movie, I don't think people have to put the movie cover to get them to read the book, because just having a movie version will get more people to read a book, because as long as the movie's good. But there's never been, I mean, I agree that there are some covers that give a negative impression, or you think it's cheesy, like the Vampire Diary, not Vampire Diary, well, I guess Vampire Diaries too, but the Vampire Academy covers, I mean, I don't know about the newest cover, because that does bug me when they keep changing the covers and republishing that, because they think a cover will make a difference, which I guess in a way, this is kind of saying it does make a difference. I mean, not for me necessarily, but I do get why certain covers bother people. Cause like the covers on the Vampire Academy, like there's the cover for the first one, the woman looks like Angelina Jolie. You know, I guess she's supposed to be like Rose or something. But of course, you know, they didn't get Angelina Jolie for the movie. But I can see why people don't like it. But I don't really have a cover in my collection of books that I thought was bad, that I hated. And I don't like. I've gotten rid of a lot. I don't read my YA. I mean, like some of the popular YA paranormal books anymore. I'm kind of leaned away. I mean, I still read some of them, but and those are usually the ones with the cheesy covers. Okay, so I don't have an answer for number 4. Okay, so number 5. You can't please everyone. A book everyone loves, but you hate. Yeah, I don't have one for that one either. There's never been a book that I love that everybody hates. I mean, I will still defend Twilight, but I'm not in love with Twilight. You know, at least not anymore. I mean, I loved it at one time, but I'm not a hardcore fan. I acknowledge that it has flaws, and some of her concepts were poorly executed. And it's not like a great work of literature, because even YA, YA books like Harry Potter or, Cassandra Clare's books or Sarah J. Maas's books, they look at certain, there are certain things that make them not just typical YA dramas and, about whiny teenagers and come across the supernatural or something, or looking for love or whatever. They do look at things like racism and politics and stuff, but in a simple way that teenagers can understand and appreciate. They explore good themes. But I've never, like I said, there's never been a book that everyone loves that I hate, or a book that I hate that I love that everyone hates. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger? A book you were made better for reading. Okay, the only answer I could come up with for this was Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. Because that book is about historical events that are very important that aren't talked about a lot. Like, we know about Hitler, we know about World War II, we know about we know all about that, but we don't know a lot about Stalin and what he did to his people. And Stalin was much worse because he didn't just select a group of people. Not that it's great, but Stalin got rid of anyone he thought was anti-government. Anyone who was against his government, his idea of government, he would put in the labor camps that he had. He didn't care, he would do, and in fact, my dad, when I was asking about this after I read the book, and the second book she wrote, I was talking to him about that, seeing what he knew about it, and he would say that Stalin would, have his soldiers kill the senior soldiers because they were because they were too old. He'd make up some excuse and they would kill them, and then the next group would kill the ones that killed the old guys, and it was just really twisted. And I think Stalin was worse because he would kill his own people because he just liked having the power. I mean, Hitler liked having the power, but he at least was willing to let his own people, as long as they had his ideal version of Germany, of how Germans should look and act. If he only got rid of the Jews, while those that were Jewish, while Stalin would get rid of his people if he didn't like them anymore and felt like they were going against the government. But I think because it talks about, because until the 90s, the Russian people the people from countries near Russia or part of Russia are part of Stalin's reign of terror. They didn't talk about these. They were too scared, and Russia is ashamed of that time in history of their government, so they don't like talking about it. But I think this is an important book that we need to learn about that time period as well as what Hitler did. I feel like it's something that I didn't know a lot about. So I think it was important. It was better for me to read this, and it was done in a way that's not boring. Like, let's face it, a lot of nonfiction books can be kind of boring because they just state the facts and they explain things. While, fiction, of course, is a narrative, so it's telling you about certain historical events, but in a way that is like you can understand and you can get into and you can feel the emotion of those events or what happened to people during that time. So I think, reading that one along with The Diary of Anne Frank, Night, but that's of course about, Germany and what Hitler did to the Jews. But then there's also, Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Well, that's another one about, a Jewish boy, or a boy becomes friends with a Jewish boy or something. But there's also books like The Book Thief. That's actually about a German girl who's suffering under, how she's dealing with it, how she's not all, it's not like she's all about the government and thinks the government's awesome, she's just trying to live her life. And trying to read, because it's all about her collecting books because the books are destroyed and stuff because they go against what Hitler believes. But Rita Stephanie's books, I think, are very important. Between Shades of Grey, and then Salt of the Sea is really good too. Although I preferred Between Shades of Grey over Salt of the Sea, but I don't know. Okay, so that's what I would say for What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. A book that was better made for me. Excuse me. Number 7. Love is Blind, a book with insta love at first sight, or with a disabled main character. I said Romeo and Juliet. That is so insta love to me. I mean, the girl's like 13 years old. Of course, back then, that was considered marrying age, apparently. That's what one of the lines that her mother says. When she's talking to her, she's like, Juliet just turned 13, don't you think she's of marrying age? It's time for her to find a husband. And I get what the theme is, that these two people, that their love for each other, how they were willing to die for each other, in the end, hopefully that brought their families together. Of course, on the show Star-Crossed, it's a sequel, and it looks like, they're trying to, but it's not working out in the show Star-Crossed, because it's basically about after Romeo and Juliet died, Juliet's mother is finding out why her daughter committed suicide. It's part of the plot. But her father is basically trying to get Rosalind, which I don't know what her role is in the Capulet family, but she's a lady's maid or something, or like a lady, I don't know. They're trying to get her to marry Benvolio, Romeo's cousin Benvolio. So that's, I need to watch the previous episode. That's not going very well. So, Romeo and Juliet's deaths didn't really do well. They made things worse. So, I don't really like that, because to me that's just two horny teenagers thinking they're in love. It's great, it's beautifully tragic that they will die for each other, but I can't get into that in that one. Okay, so number 8, Ignorance is Bliss. A book you don't want to admit is bad. Okay, so the answer at the time I said for this is Red Rain by R.L. Stine. It's an adult novel. It's an adult horror novel. I think it was his first one, and I was willing to give him the benefit of that because I grew up with R.L. Stine and Goosebumps. So I'm like thinking, well, it's hard to transition from middle grade level to adults. And I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but maybe I should give it 2 stars. But it basically read like a Lifetime movie. And it was very cliche, and the little boys, the little evil boys were, like, annoying, and they're not that cute. They're supposed to be described as very angelic, and they're not, although I kept picturing in the episode, in an episode on Supernatural, like, when Sam and Dean go to this place, it's in season 4, I think, and they find out that Chuck, the guy who wrote the Supernatural books, he's writing more books. It's basically a supernatural convention that they go to, and apparently they go to a hotel that actually could potentially be haunted, and of course it's Supernatural, so it is obviously haunted, and the fans are playing along, and they're playing a game and stuff, and we see the real ghost, and the one of the boys in there that's like blonde hair, that's how I picture these two little boys in this horror novel. Red Ring. I no longer have it because I donated it to our used bookstore in town. But it was like, it was very cliche, like, it just wasn't that great. I mean, it was just like, it was quick to read, and it was entertaining, it was something I could, read easily, so I read it, not wrote it, because I would not write horror, I read it, like, just to read it, because my friend bought it for me, and I felt like, because I let her buy it for me, and I felt like I should read it, so I read it, and it was okay, but I kind of regret it, and I feel bad that I made her buy it for me. Okay, so, cliche number 9, there's no time like the present, a favorite contemporary. Now, I don't really read that much contemporary, I'm not a fan of it, because I don't want to read about real life unless it's really dramatic, it's a drama, and it's about things I don't experience in real life. I don't want to read about whiny teenagers, unless it's fantasy, but even then, I'm getting out of the paranormal fantasy stuff, but I read a few, and at least one I read, because the library, thankfully, our library has some of the new releases, or they're a couple years old, or the new releases that are a few years old. So the one I said at the time was A List of Cages. At the moment, I don't remember who the author is, but I remember enjoying A List of Cages. That was a good book. That was a very entertaining read. I liked it. I had fun with it. It was, not fun, but it was a very good emotional read. And I liked, it was about the relationship between two boys, the bond of brotherhood, and how they dealt with abuse, and it's just a beautiful book, and I recommend you read it, and it might make you a little sad, and even cry. I didn't cry, but it still made me sad and angry at the same time. So, I don't easily cry during books. I'm sorry, you guys may think I'm heartless, but I don't cry during books. I cry more when I see with the stuff I see on screen than I read in books. But it's not, sometimes I don't even cry then, but I'm more prone to cry in movies and TV shows. I'm sorry, but I am. Okay, so that's a good book, and I definitely recommend it. And I think I gave it like 5 stars on Goodreads. Okay, so the last one is Better Safe Than Sorry, a book you don't want to read in case it's bad. Okay, so I said Cursed Child by Jack Thorne and some other guy and J.K. Rowling. By the way, just because it was J.K. Rowling's idea and she got the seal of approval does not mean she wrote it. But I have heard a lot of negative things about this book, and I was very disappointed in it, it's not a book, it's a play, in a book format, and no, it's not, people do not hate it because it's a play, they have no problem with the play, okay, that's not the problem, that is not the problem is, from what I've heard, now to be fair, I haven't read it, And people should, some people that did love it will be like, oh, you should read it first before you form an opinion. But I'm just not in the mood to read it either way. I mean, the books, the 7 original Harry Potter books, they wrapped up nicely. And I admit, I was kind of curious about the kids because they mentioned kids in the last book. But, with that being said, like I said, I'm just not interested. And I've heard a lot of things about that I didn't like how they changed the characters. And yes, characters grow and evolve and change, but from what people said, the way they changed did not make sense at all. And I really didn't like how Ron was portrayed because he was my favorite character. He was one of my favorite characters. And if you can see in the corner, I just got right in the corner there. You can see it. Like Ron, I have Ron from Goblet of Fire in his dress robes with Hermione because I got Hermione in her dress robes, or well, it's not a robe, it's actually a dress. So I got her. So I at some point finally got Ron. I actually got him at SuperCon. So if you watch my SuperCon video, you'll get a better view of it. So I was very, a lot of things they said, and like what they said about how Cedric Diggory and how he's portrayed is not very good either. And I just, by the sound of it, it's like the playwrights disrespected J.K. Rowling's original work. Of course, some people will say, J.K. Rowling gave the seal of approval, but I mean, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I have no interest in reading it anyway. So that's the one I'm worried that if I read it, it's just gonna piss me off. And I don't want to waste my money because, I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to buy a book that I'm not into. Especially a book that is that price because it's a hardback edition, right? It's still in hardback form so it's $20 or more. And I can't afford to do that. So what's the point of me wasting my money? So, and I'm not gonna, and I have no mood to get it from the library, and so, because, yeah, I could borrow it from the library, but I'm not interested either way. But it's also partly because I've heard a lot of negative things, so I'm worried that I won't like it either, considering the characters I'm a fan of. Okay, so that is the Cliche Book Tag. I don't know who originally made this book tag, but it's pretty old book tag. So I'm not gonna, so the only person, I only know, I think most people have done this, because, so if you want to do this tag, go for it. I know that in itself is a cliche. There is one of the more recent booktubers I have made that I watched their videos I like. I don't remember if they've done this tag or not. But if you guys happen to watch my book video and you haven't done this tag, I tag you books and looks if you have not done that. And if you did and have done that, I'm sorry, and so, and you can just ignore me and and I appreciate if you watch my video. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed my answers, and I will see you later for my next whenever I make another video. Alright, bye.